Hello! Marhay na banggi po sa Indaga Boss. So we're just waiting for more viewers to come join us tonight. But marhay na banggi po to everyone who is already watching right now. I hope that everybody has had a quiet and peaceful night in their homes with their loved ones. Like me, it's a very quiet and peaceful night here in Maginhawa, Quezon City. And I'm very pleased to be here with you tonight. So thank you very much, of course, to Entertainment News Portal for having me tonight. Maraming salamat po. And once again, I have my second phone to help me navigate through the whole live session. And there we have more people coming in. Hi guys, hello, welcome to the live session with Entertainment News Portal. Good evening. Hi Angel, hi Michael, hi Ramona. I hope you liked my styling tonight. I got a little bit tired of the usual makeup routine, so I thought of changing it up. Of course, we're still with the curly hair. Trivia, did you know that for the majority of the time that I did pageants in Bicol when I was younger, I never did the curly hair. It was all straight. I think because I was younger and I was more fuller. So I guess that's mostly the reason why I wasn't inclined to wear the culot hairstyle. Good evening, De Leon. Hi, Tanya. Nice to see you. So we're still waiting for more people to come and to give me some time to be able to share the stream on my page. So let me just tweak this. Pero kamusta kayong lahat? The past few days have been very stressful for some of us because many are a little bit afraid of the fact that we might have an extension of the lockdown. And as much as I understand the apprehension that everybody has, I hope that we can all understand that all our leaders are doing their best to determine what is the best course of action, considering the different stakes involved. And as someone who has previously worked with the government and someone who graduated with a degree in law, I have to say that sometimes we have to let the law work, we have to let the system work, no matter how bleak it might seem, diba? So I will just share this and then we'll go. Okay, there. Okay. Alright, so again, hi na banggi po sa Indaga Boss. This is Patrixia Santos, your Echo Angel from Daraga Albay. And it is very much a great evening for me as I'm sitting here sharing with you this live stream from my home. I hope that you guys are having as much fun as I am. Yes, please feel free to ask me questions. We are in a very good Q&A mood tonight. I actually spent the day reading about Earth Day 2020. So before anything else, tomorrow, April 22, is Earth Day 2020. And I am challenging each and everybody who's watching tonight to participate in this milestone, because this is actually the 50th year that the campaign has been going on. And this is very important because 50 years signifies 50 long years, 50 golden years that humanity has been fighting for a better planet. So I hope you will be able to remember that tomorrow is Earth Day 2020, and you can participate by going on the site of earthday2020.com, and you can check as individual things that you can do in order to make Earth Day 2020 more meaningful. So if you are noticing, I actually couldn't read the messages from here, so I'm gonna slide them down. Thank you, Angel. And I can see, thank you, Michael. I can see the question so much. So I guess I'm gonna use the phone because it's my first time to actually use the landscape view, yeah, with entertainment news portals. So I have to say that this is a brand new experience. But of course, I'd like to thank Arvin from Entertainment News Portal. Thank you very much for having me. It's really a nice thing to invite me to be able to introduce myself to more people as an Echo Angel for Miss Earth Philippines 2020. So my environmental advocacy, by the way, for Miss Earth 2020 is focused on the Be Better initiative. Be Better initiative is actually me trying to inspire or challenge my different communities from all over the country, the world, to become better caretakers of this earth in order to build healthier environments through the way of living a sustainable way of life. I believe that if every individual in our world would only choose to live a better life, a better sustainable life, then we would be able to safeguard not just our home, our planet, but also the health of the general public. I truly believe that if only we were more respectful of this planet, of biodiversity, of the roles we had to play right from the very beginning, then maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation with COVID-19. And that's why I think that this advocacy is very important, to let people understand that this was not impossible to prevent. This was preventable, and it could have been prevented. COVID-19, the pandemic crisis, could have been prevented if only we would put environmental policies at the forefront of our political agenda, even in our own countries. All right, so since there are a lot of questions pending, I'd go to them. Oh, hi, Tito Junjun. And hi to your daughter, Brie, one of my favorite cousins. Okay, I can't scroll up anymore, so I'll start with the questions I can see. What is the best advice you did not take, and why? I don't know. I can't really remember, because when it comes to advice, when it's really good advice, I take it. I do have the, I think I do have the sensitivity to know when an advice is good or not, and I can't recall a time when I didn't do so. So I had to skip this question. Shout out to Zedric from Manila. Hi, good evening. I hope you're having a good time tonight. From De Leon, as an Echo Angel, what is true leadership in a time of crisis? For me, true leadership in a time of crisis is composed of two things. It's really empathy towards your people and transparency. Just like what is happening in our country right now and in different countries in the world, if you could see that what we really want from our leaders and what seems to be working as is being exhibited in other countries like New Zealand, empathy is very important because people need to know that you care about them. People need to see that you have their best interests at heart, and you can only share that, you can only do that if you truly empathize with what your citizens are going through. And aside from empathy, second would be transparency, because if you know what your citizens are going through, then it's only natural for you to know that it's very important to be transparent with them, because at the end of the day, you owe your power, you owe your position to the people that elected you, and they're the people that you serve, and you owe them at least, if you cannot provide a solution, at least provide them with the truth. From Tanya, have beauty pageants lost their relevance? Why or why not? For me, I think beauty pageants, just like everything else in our society, has evolved. It's changing according to what our community needs. If you would trace its history before, it used to be an outlet for uh, the beauty and the mysteriousness of all the barrio lasses of our, I don't want to say ancient, but our historical women. Before, pageants were supposed to be a way to parade the beauty of a village, of a community, by way of letting them wear these dresses. And over time, I think Philippines have been very good in letting the pageants evolve into its own. And now it has fully evolved into something that empowers women. And when there's something that adjusts or evolves as to the needs of their community, I really doubt that there will come a time that the relevance would disappear. Beauty pageants would always be relevant as long as women are relevant, and it's impossible for the former to happen, right? So for me, pageants would always be relevant. From Marlon, you've been joining pageants since God knows when. Oh, come on. I've been joining pageants since I was 16. If I'm not wrong, that's 2008. I was first year college. So just so you know, Marlon, how do pageants help you as a person? You know, guys, I've been very passionate about sharing my pageant journey with people. Pageants really changed me into the woman that I am now. I don't think that I would have been able to achieve the different achievements I've had, and I don't think I would have been able to even achieve the Juris Doctor degree from the University of the Philippines College of Law, because I was a different person before. I was very introverted. I was a geek. My favorite place was the library. All I wanted to do the whole day is to read, 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 read. In fact, my home library is here. It's right beside my bed, my workstation, and it's filled with all the different books that I would read over and over again. So that's a part of me. But that's also a wall that prevented me from growing into a mature person. So pageants all of a sudden changed that. You know, pageants molded me into becoming a better person by way of encouraging me to break out of my shell. Pageants at that time was also, I was also motivated because I wanted to earn more money for my future. And in pageants, I realized that if I was braver, if I was more outgoing, if only I opened my hearts out more to people, if only I started to ask, and then I shall receive. And that's when I realized that I had to be more outgoing. I had to share more of myself to the community, because the more I realized that the more that you give of yourself, the more that you will receive. The more blessings, the more direction, and above all, the more opportunity. So for me, pageants have molded me into a different being, and I would always be passionate, and I would always be thankful for that. Oh, thank you, Cedric. Okay, Michael, if given the chance to travel 50 years from the past or 50 years in the future, what will you choose and why? Hmm. You know what? If I would be given the chance, I would like to travel 50 years into the past. I am, I mentioned earlier that I'm a geek, so I am an avid fan of history. And as an AB English graduate, that was my undergrad, I developed a love for history and a curiosity on how the different events in the past played out. I think that if only we could study what really happened in the past, then maybe we can learn how to live for a better future. So that's why my primary reason for going back to the past will be to learn how is it really, what were the mistakes, why were they done, and how we could prevent that as a human race. So for me, that would be the best thing that could ever happen to me, traveling back to the past. Hi, Ate Marian. And of course, to the kids, Chantal and Sebastian. Oh, from PEX, there is a rumor circulating that MPE will have a virtual. Is it true or not? You know, guys, when it comes to the Miss Philippines Air 2020, I always say when asked about this question that I am not really in the best position to be confirming anything at the moment. We're not sure if this is true. This is actually an unconfirmed rumor. And at the moment, I think the organization is doing their best to weigh the pros and cons of how they will proceed with the competition, considering the different circumstances brought about by the global pandemic coronavirus. So at the moment, we are sitting tight as candidates, and we are very much. We are very much waiting for what the organization will be announcing, and personally, I I am I have high respect for the organizers of this pageant, which is primarily the reason why I chose it to be the last pageant I would ever compete with. So I have to say that I trust the organization. I know that they would be making full and informed choices considering the welfare of everybody involved, especially the lives of the candidates, the staff, the sponsors, and the pageant aficionados. So I guess we all have to wait and see for the near for further developments. Okay, so Gully Ambid asked, how can an echo angel help in the fight towards this pandemic? I fully believe that as an echo angel, as someone who advocates for a sustainable way of life, like me, I think that will be one of the best ways to fight the pandemic. Because if uh, if we didn't uh, if we didn't ignore the rules of nature in the first place, then maybe the pandemic will not have happened. At the moment, we're still standing by the fact that they're saying that the coronavirus is traced to the eating of bats and further transmitted by somewhere or another by the pangolin. And these are animals who should have not been eaten because they're wild members of the wildlife. And I hope that if we only realize that if we did not disturb biodiversity the way that the people in China have done, then we would not have been put into this situation. So I hope that you guys would learn something from that. And as an echo angel, my role is to educate more people about the roles of biodiversity, the roles of nature, the roles of us as being human beings, as better caretakers in order to solve this crisis and uh, prevent the coming of another just like it. Hi, Melvin. So what are the 3 words that will best describe the Miss Earth crown? 3 words. First word will be purpose. Miss Earth crown is filled with purpose. It's actually the one pageant which we can immediately know, oh, this is the purpose of Miss Earth crown. Its purpose is to help build a society, to protect the environment. So for me, Miss Earth crown is purpose. A second to describe it would be intellectual. Intellectual, because the anybody who wins Miss Earth crown, you're sure that she knows how to think. She understands the facts. She understands the different circumstances, systems that are involved in the advocacy to protect the environment. And you cannot be Miss Earth if you did not understand what it truly means to protect the environment, because there are so many circumstantial things that you have to imbibe, understand, and you also have to be, and number 3, you have to be resourceful. You know, as a spokesperson, you're going to be expected to talk, and even though it's covered already by being purposeful and intellectual, at the end of the day, you have to be also resourceful. You have to be able to think of different ways that you can reach your target audience, you guys, reach you on how would it be best to inspire all of you to become better caretakers of this planet. So that's the 3 words. So how do I encourage others to consider my advocacy? So I'm someone who believes that the best way to encourage other people is to just keep on educating. And step 1 is keep on educating, and step 2, making them understand by way of experience. We have to let them experience exactly why is it important to build a better connection with our planet, exactly why is it better to have a better sustainable way of life. And we can only do this by, number 1, spreading the right information online, different forms of media, traditional print or broadcast, or on social media, because we all know social media has changed the way that individuals receive and absorb information. So it's also very important to consider social media. And after that, after spreading the information, then you keep on thinking of different things, interactive things that you can invite people to go to in order to be able to experience what truly is, how it is important for us to become better caretakers of this earth. It could be an eco camp. I went to an eco camp once. It was amazing. It can be an eco camp. It can be an eco tour. It can be anything interactive so that you can inspire more people to do so. From Michael, due to climate change that resulted in the rising of sea levels from the 2 poles, how should nations and countries respond to it and give countermeasures towards it? You know, the problem with the rising sea levels really at this point in time is climate change. The greenhouse gas effect. It's really heating up our country. It's really heating up our planet. And the only way that we can stop the ice from melting is if we lower our greenhouse gas emissions. And we can only do that if our different countries, our different governments governing these countries from all over the world would communicate and cooperate with each other and implement different policies that would help reduce the emissions. One such way, for example, is if these countries will agree to transitioning from traditional energy sources such as coal and transitioning towards clean energy such as geothermal energy, renewable sources of energy. if we are able to do this, and actually it's many scientists have been attesting to the fact that it's actually possible to make the transition, the 100% transition, but what's lacking really is the political will. So I have to say that that is really the easiest, the direct way to do things. We just have to lower our emissions so that we would have a lower we would have lower greenhouse gases. We will be able to lower the temperature of the world, and we will stop the ice from melting. Hi, Ira. From Tanya again, in your community, are there litter laws where you live? If yes, what is the penalty for littering the environment? I have to say that we have we have a national litter. I think we have a national law on this. I think it might be okay. I have to backtrack on that. I have to check. But I have to say that in Quezon City, there is an ordinance about littering. But yeah, I don't know the penalty. I will check that. Thank you for asking. I will not miss this next time. Hi, Ezekiel. Hi, Justin. Hi, Justin. What do I like most about myself? What I like most about myself is my passion. I'm a very passionate individual. Whenever I put myself or put my mind to it, I do everything in my power to achieve what I want to do. And it has helped me through most of the difficult times of my life. May it have been when my grandmother died, when I was a candidate in Binibining Pilipinas 2010, or when I spent 7 years working and studying law. And I think that my passion has allowed me to see things through, no matter how difficult it was, may it be physically, mentally, and emotionally. Hi, Ate Grace! I hope you're doing fine. I miss everybody from Ola. Hi, Guli. So you're asking, am I in favor of the extension of the enhanced community quarantine in the country? To be honest, I really don't want to see an extension. But if the extension if we are going to lift the extension, then I would only agree to doing that if we have ensured that we are fully prepared to face whatever the consequences are. I understand that many people are suffering. They're hungry. They don't have money. They don't have jobs, and the uncertainty is already killing a lot of us. But at the same time, we have to think that, are we ready? If they lift it on April 30, are we ready to face the inevitable fact that there might be a second wave of the coronavirus in the country, and will we be able to save lives? Because at the end of the day, our economic status can be recovered. We can do whatever we can, because as they say in Filipino, habang may buhay, may pag-asa. And we are nothing without our lives. And we have to understand that we're talking about people who probably have less than us. And if we're going to let them go out there, and they won't have the capability to take care of themselves in terms of financial capacity to check their health, or go check in at a good hospital to save their lives, then for me, as a person who just wants to keep everybody safe, I would have to say that I I don't want to extend the quarantine, the lockdown. But if we don't have a choice because we are not prepared and we might lose lives, then I have to disagree with lifting the lockdown. So what's the biggest disappointment that you've bounced back from? I have to say that the biggest disappointment would be not graduating cum laude, because it was really a funny story, because I found out my grade point average um, on that day when they released the grade point averages, and the grade point average was cum laude qualified, and I was very happy because I was actually very nervous about it, because I shifted from nursing before I shifted to AB English. So so I shifted from nursing. So I was nursing. I was a nursing student before I became AB English student. And one of the things that I asked the registrar when I arrived there in the College of Arts and Letters, when I moved there, I asked them, is there a way for me to graduate with honors? Because I was I was thinking about my future. I was thinking about what I had to do, because I had a pretty modest background. My family wasn't that well off, and I knew that I had to have a good educational background, meaning good grades, in order to really get a good job and move up in life. So I was very, very vested into the fact that I should graduate with honors. But on that day, uh, the registrar called me, and I was very happy because I was thinking, oh, this means I'm cum laude. It's 1 point. And then they called me and they told me that because of some glitch, they failed to factor in the right amount of units. So I was underload. So there was one SEM in my whole time in the College of Arts and Letters that I was missing 1 unit, just 1 unit, and I was underload, and so I was disqualified. And uh, I was very sad. I was very disappointed in myself. I was asking myself, how could I have not noticed I was underload? How could I have not seen this coming? And is this the culmination of all my efforts? Because at that time, I was 30 units. If you know the units game in Bicol University, I had I had to juggle 30 units of school load for my last year for both semesters in order to graduate on time and to get that cum laude status. But it was very disappointing. But the school naman gave me uh, uh, consolation prize and gave me an academic distinction recognition, but it was still very disappointing. And how did I bounce back? I I realized that I realized that I shouldn't be sad, because at the end of the day, the grades was very good. I finished on time, and they're not really the only perk I could see from getting the cum laude at that point was the exemption from civil service exam. But you know what, guys? Since I am a very passionate woman and I always like taking a challenge, I actually took the civil service exam in Bicol for the region before I figured out what my grades would be. So I'm the type of person who likes to be prepared. And I was very happy I was prepared, because so that lifted my mood immediately. I just thought, oh, it's okay, even if I'm not a cum laude. I was already a civil service exam passer, so I could work in the government anyways. So that's how I bounced back. Shout out to Joseph Pili. Hi, I miss you. I hope you're having a good time there in Naga. And looks like I just got information may bago daw positive in Naga. I don't know if that's true just yet, but I hope you're taking care of yourself, Joseph, and your family. So if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be and why? I think I'd give my younger self the advice that slow down and smell the roses, because I mentioned I was very passionate, but the downside of it was I also was too busy to really notice what was going on in the background. Everything was always background noise. I was always jumping from one project to another. I was from one moment I'm doing pageants, which took me out of school for a long periods of time because I did pageants a lot before. And then after the pageants, I started my student council phase. So I was more involved in the extracurricular, I guess. I have to admit that. So, and then I also focused on my studies. So I was also kind of, I had a lot of friends, but sometimes it feels like I'm a loner because I'm always too busy to hang out with them. So the people that I usually hanged out with are also people I had to spend time with because they were student council people. So it was a little bit foolish of me. So I will advise my younger self to slow down, smell the roses, be more relaxed, and just enjoy the moment. So what is your favorite activity during our pandemic crisis? Why? My favorite activity would be, I really I really love the time that I spend studying about the environment. Because as a candidate of Miss Philippines Earth, I think that it is my moral obligation to be able to uh, equip myself with the right knowledge to become a good spokesperson for the environment. So I have been devoting most of my time into researching, studying. I have a couple of webinars that I've been attending, and yeah, I even have some online classes with Harvard EDX teaching about the environmental effects of climate change, the health effects of the effects of climate change on our health. So I have to say that it's been very productive, and I'm very happy to be doing these things. Hi, Melvin Pan. Hi, Carlos. What do you think is the biggest problem that our young people are facing today? I think that the biggest problem young people are facing today is the information overload. Social media, as I said before, has changed the way that people receive and process, absorb information. And in doing so, even though this is a good thing because information is accessible, it's at hand, there's also the bad effect of having that information overload. And I think those young people are bearing the brunt of it because they're young, they're impressionable. They think that everything they see online is good. They think that everything they see online is admirable, the truth, and sometimes they're easily influenced by whatever they see online. And this is the greatest challenge, the greatest burden for them, because they have to find a way to sift through the different information they receive and identify which is true, which is worth emulating. And this is very hard if you consider the amount of fake news that we're encountering in the past few days. So I hope that the youth would be able to develop the necessary skills, which is critical thinking, reading comprehension, and the like, in order for them to uh, get through this challenge of information overload. What is my message for children who are longing for the love of their OFW parents? What tip of advice can you give to them to fully understand the situation? That's a good question. I like it because my mother, in order to support me when my dad died, because my dad died when I was 6 months, to support me, she went to uh, she went to Canada to work as an OFW, and I spent a majority of my young life wondering why I was growing up with my grandmother, maternal side. And over time, in the beginning, you understand that she's not there. Actually, you don't care because you don't really know her. But as time went by, I was nearing my teenage years, and it was very difficult because uh, you wanted to get advice, you wanted to have somebody with you, you wanted to talk to somebody about your feelings, the things that were going on in school. And so, the advice that I could give children who are like me, who are longing for their parent, for their mother, for their father, I have to say that kapit lang. You have to really hold on by having trust and having patience. Trust in your parent, trust them because they're doing everything they can to support you. They're doing everything they can to give you the life that you deserve and the life that they can give you if they stay here in the Philippines. So you have to give them your full trust, even if it's hard. And in doing so, I guess that's how you call it faith. You have to give your full faith on your parent and believe in them, no matter how difficult it is, and even if there's no evidence to back it all up. Because at the end of the day, that's your parent, that's your blood, and I hope that you'll be able to find a way to fully understand. Because understanding is not easy, but trust is something that you could readily give. Uh, that's how I look at it. So for me, have trust and then try to understand your parent. How do I handle peer pressure? All right, so that's a good question. I think a lot of young individuals are dealing with this right now, especially with TikTok. Na peer pressure na ba kayang mag-TikTok, guys? Yung totoo. TikTok is a phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon. And sometimes I feel like giving into the pressure. But, I think the best way to resist peer pressure is knowing, researching about the pros and cons. Like, even though all your friends are telling, oh, this and that is a good thing, I think it's a very good skill to have, being able to research effectively, being able to arm yourself with the right kind of facts in order to build enough knowledge for you to be able to decide objectively and with the hopes that you would be deciding for the betterment of yourself. So for me, that's really just the way to resist peer pressure. Just be able to research well and drag out the pros and cons so that you'd be able to decide objectively. Okay, from Adrian, how will you explain to a feminist that beauty pageants are relevant and are not shallow in today's world? You know, Actually, the term feminist is about an individual who supports equal rights for men and women and the different genders. It's a misconception to think that when I say I'm a feminist, I only stand for the rights of women. When you say you're a feminist, you say you're actually telling the world that you're a person who respects equal rights for all, may it be a woman or a man. And if you're referring to, the feminists who are really putting much priority, I don't know how to term them anymore. I don't know the correct term actually, but for the feminists maybe who are very much supportive or who lean towards the protection of women more because of the understandable fact that women have been subjected to a lot of discrimination over the years, and this has not stopped even in our day to day. So how do I convince them that pageants are not shallow? I just have to let them know that pageants can produce women like me, women who are actually empowered to make choices about my own life, and a woman who is given the opportunity to become the person that I wish to be. Because, and I wouldn't be this kind of person if pageants did not teach me the importance of knowing myself, the importance of knowing my life's purpose. So for me, it's really a good way to show people. The best way to show people is to make an example of yourself. And as a person who grew up with pageants, I think I would be a good example to these feminists. Okay, is technology hurting our communication skills? You know, guys, I think too much of anything is always bad for anything. So technology, when just when used just right, is very good for the advancement of our civilization. But if it's used too much, such a way that it makes you lazy, then it actually messes up with our communication. So really the trick is to be able to ensure that when using technology, we would be able to use it wisely and use it temperately, and make sure that when we're using these things, we would be able to do so with ample responsibility. From Bex, any plan to take the bar exam? Yeah, I do want to become a lawyer. I just really set aside this time because you can take the bar exam anytime. It doesn't have a deadline. And when it comes to doing pageants, you have to realize that there's a deadline. It's only up to the age 27, 28. And I have to say I'm already 27, so this is my last year, I think, for joining pageants, and I really have to walk through this dream. This is one of my greatest dreams when I was younger, and I have to say that I have to see it through in order to have no regrets. So I'm doing this, but rest assured, I'm going to take the bar very soon. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Genevieve. My fondest memory of Ate Venus when competing with her in BBP 2010. You know, Ate Venus is a very kind person. She's one of the best things about her really is her attitude. Uh, and one of the best moments that we had is she would help me put on she would help me put on my false eyelashes because I was a baby. So I didn't know how to put my eyelashes on. And she was always helping me like, Pat, lika dito, ayusin ko. And she was always very much like an ate during the whole competition. So that would be my fondest memory of Ate Venus. What are your words to the dedicated frontliners of our country? So, to our frontliners in the country, wherever you may you be in the hospital, may you be in the checkpoints, may you be in the groceries, in the markets, or in the different government agencies that has to run, uh, I I want to give you my utmost gratitude. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sacrificing your safety so that we may remain safe and healthy within our homes. You are sacrificing your lives for us. You're putting yourselves on the line. And nothing, no words that I can ever say can express how grateful I am that you guys are there and you're doing your duty and you are saving lives. Thank you so much, and we will never forget the sacrifice. And in the future, I hope that we would be able to give back at least even a little of the sacrifice you've been doing by becoming responsible citizens and uh, supporting policies in our country that will make sure that all our frontliners are well taken care of. Yun pa. From CJ, hi Ate CJ. How do you cope up with life during this lockdown? The first thing I did was meditate because it was a change. It was a quick change. It was not a choice that we made. Everybody was forced to just stay at home, get locked inside our houses, our community, and it was so sudden that uh, I was feeling very anxious because there were a lot of things that I wanted to do. There are a lot of things that we need to do in our lives. And I did mention that I was more of the busy bee, passionate girl about different projects. And I have to say that it was the first thing I did. I meditated and I reflected on what do I want to become after this lockdown? What did I want to see for myself uh, after this lockdown? And so that is why after meditating and I figured out what I wanted, which was number one, I wanted to keep myself healthy. And health. When I say healthy, healthy physically and mentally. Second would be I wanted to not gain weight. Which I think you won't understand because we don't know what will happen with the pageant soon, diba? And number three, I wanted to be productive at work. We have a lot of assignments given to us uh, from PhilHealth, where I work right now as a special investigator. And all those things I mapped out in my mind that was the output I wanted. And after that, I just started planning my day. I have a whole routine planned out for the week, every week. And so that is how I really cope for the duration of this lockdown, by meditating and careful planning. So for Marlon, what is the most important part of the Miss Earth pageant? Hmm. I really think that the most important part of the Miss Earth pageant would be the final Q&A. Because I think that Miss Earth pageant is all about, it's really all about finding the right spokesperson. And after everything that is judged, from beauty of the face, beauty of the figure, beauty of presentation, beauty of the body, at the very final stage, you probably have the best women from all of those categories competing already, and it would be that last final step during the final interview, the final Q&A, that you will figure out that aside from uh, the external package, uh, it will be now revealed who has the heart for the earth, who has a heart for the environment, who has a heart to become the next spokesperson of our planet. And that's why I think for me, the final Q&A would be one of the most important parts of the pageant. Okay, the global pandemic of COVID-19 has its pros and cons. Can you cite examples of it? You know, well, the cons is pretty obvious. The cons include the great damage to our economy, the great damage to the lives of people, the changes, the sudden changes that has thrown everything into this organized cycle, and most of all, the damage to life, because so many people have lost their lives and are fighting for their lives at the very moment. So those are the cons. But the pros of COVID-19, though a little bit, I view them as short-term positive results, is the lowering of the carbon footprint of human beings from around the world. Because naturally, since human beings are being prohibited from going out of their homes, and since human beings are being restricted, then their carbon footprint would go down, especially with the lack of transportation and the lack of the usual activity that every individual would do in their lives. So that's one of the positives of COVID-19. Uh, we have reduced our carbon footprint. So effectively, we are reducing our greenhouse gas effect, and we are reducing climate change effects around the globe. And another good thing is many animals are inspired by the lack of human activity to go back to their natural habitats. So in a sense, they're reclaiming their natural homes. And all these things we are experiencing because of the lack of human activity. And I think if there's the best pro out of everything that has happened, it's we are able to realize in the time that we're spending inside our homes the extent of the damage that our activity as individuals are affecting into this world. You might think that our individual actions are too little, too small, but at the end of the day, when we sum it all up and look at it collectively, our human activity really is the main cause of destruction on this planet. So please, 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 take this time to reflect and take this time to commit yourself to making sure that this downtime, this positive effect that we're giving to our country, to our world, would be prolonged, would be replicated even after the pandemic crisis. All right, so um, how do you prepare for a beauty pageant and why? So for a beauty pageant, I think one of the most important things to prepare is your mindset, because pageants are mentally grueling. Pageants challenge you to present yourself to people and allow them to look at you and judge you. It's the one platform where you expose yourself to criticism. It's the one platform where you is the one platform where you actually expose yourself to uh, many people which you don't know, and this requires mental toughness. And that's the first thing you do. You prepare your mindset. Second would be you prepare your physical body. I think, and I have to reiterate that it is not an exploitation of a woman to want to be able to present the best version of their physical bodies to the public, because it is a good challenge to herself, because in that way she'll be able to take care of her health. And taking care of your physical body doesn't mean that you have to slim down. Taking care of your physical body means you have to eat healthy, you have to exercise regularly, and you have to take care of your cleanliness, your sanitation, and the like. So for me, that's how you really prepare for a beauty pageant, preparing yourself mentally and physically. At least that's how I do it. So this is so guys, I'm sorry, but I have to go. I have to wrap this up. I hope you had a good time with me tonight. I've always, and I read, there's one last question I'd like to answer. It's, how would I like to be remembered by people? I'd like to be remembered by people as an outspoken woman who is passionate about the things that she believes in. And that's me. I am Patrixia, your Echo Angel from Daraga Albay. Uh, Outspoken and passionate about the welfare of this planet. And again, I'm encouraging everyone to please join the Be Better movement, join my environmental advocacy, realize that you have a civic duty to our planet, and we can fulfill the civic duty by adopting or committing yourself to a sustainable way of life in order to protect not just the environment but the health of our people in general. So before I go, I will plug because in during this pandemic crisis, I've been doing a lot of volunteer work, outreach work, and number one, I would like to invite people to donate what you can to Be the One PH. It's a NGO focused on collecting donations in order to provide 1,000 food packs or food packs and daily necessities to poor urban families located in Iloilo and in Smoky Mountain, Tondo. We all know that Smoky Mountain, Tondo is included with the Purse of the Poor sector, and I hope that you'll be able to help us. I'm very excited because we will be packing food, basic necessities, and giving it out to the people in Tondo, and I will be there. So let's see how that goes. And another is Lawyers for Doctors. Lawyers for Doctors naman is an organization that is filled with lawyers, paralegals, and law students who wants to help our frontliners. So if you want to donate in kind, please look for us on Facebook, Lawyers for Doctors. I'm one of the people with donor relations, and I hope that I will be able to see any one of you donating in kind for our frontliners. So please also don't forget to follow me on Miss Philippines Earth 2020, the competition, which will resume after this crazy pandemic has finally been resolved. And you can follow me on IG, Patrixia Santos X, and you can also like my Facebook page, Patrixia Santos for Miss Philippines Earth 2020. So again, shout out to Kagandang Flores, who celebrated its 25th anniversary. Congratulations, Tito Roger, you are the best. And all our mentors, I love all of you. And to everybody who went here tonight, thank you so much. Guys, I cannot express how grateful I am. So I have to go now. I hope you had fun, and I hope that you became individuals who are committed to becoming better caretakers of the earth. Love you. I finished.